The 10th of May, 1940. Nazi Germany invades Belgium, shattering its neutrality and plunging the nation into war. German forces strike with overwhelming force, advancing through the Ardennes and crushing Belgian resistance within weeks. On the 28th of May, the Belgian army surrenders and the country falls under Nazi occupation. As the swastikas rise over Brussels, the occupiers impose their vision of order and control. Political parties are banned, opponents are silenced, and propaganda spreads through the streets. While many Belgians turn to resistance, others see opportunity in collaboration, believing that the Nazi victory will reshape Europe and bring them power. Among these collaborators emerges a young man who is intelligent, ambitious, and devoted to the fascist cause. Behind the scenes, he helps transform a small movement into one of the main instruments of Nazi authority in occupied Belgium. As the war deepens, he climbs to the top of its hierarchy, directing propaganda, repression, and terror, and playing a central role in one of the bloodiest massacres of the occupation. His name is Louie Kolar. Louie Kolar was born on the 9th of August, 1915 in the small industrial town of Ain, located in Wallonia, the French-speaking part of Belgium. His early years unfolded during the turmoil of the First World War, which raged from the 28th of July 1914 until the 11th of November 1918, and left deep scars on the nation. Like many Belgians of his generation, he grew up amid stories of occupation, sacrifice, and reconstruction. The conflict had reshaped Belgium's political and social landscape, creating divisions that would later influence its turbulent interwar politics. As Kolar reached adulthood, Belgium was still struggling with the effects of the Great Depression. Economic crises, social unrest, and fear of communism drove many toward radical ideas. Among them was Rex, a movement founded in the early 1930s by Léon Degrelle. Originally a Catholic publishing group called Christus Rex, meaning Christ the King, it soon evolved into a political force combining religious traditionalism, nationalism, and authoritarianism. Rex called for the moral regeneration of Belgium, the defense of Catholic values, and the rejection of parliamentary democracy. It denounced corruption, communism, and liberalism, instead promoting a vision of a disciplined, unified, and devout state. In 1936, the movement shocked the country by winning more than 11% of the national vote, but the success was short-lived. Inspired by Benito Mussolini and Adolf Hitler, Rex grew increasingly fascist and openly sympathetic to Nazi Germany, causing Degrelle to lose the support of moderate Catholics and conservatives who had once backed him. However, for the young Louie Kolar, Rex offered a sense of purpose and ambition. Intelligent and disciplined, he joined the movement and began working on propaganda and organizational tasks within Rex, helping to recruit new members and expand its influence. His devotion, precision, and talent for administration quickly made him stand out. The Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. When the Nazis attacked Belgium on the 10th of May 1940, the country collapsed within weeks. Léon Degrelle was arrested by Belgian authorities, but later released after the German victory. Under occupation, Degrelle reorganized Rex under Nazi supervision, and Louie Kolar became one of his most trusted men. He soon gained responsibility for propaganda and internal coordination. In this role, Kolar forged close ties with the German security apparatus, particularly the SD, the Nazi intelligence agency, and the Gestapo, the Nazi secret state police. His ability to impose order and discipline impressed both the occupiers and Degrelle himself. By 1943, as Degrelle left for the Eastern Front to fight with the Waffen-SS, the military wing of the SS, Kolar effectively took control of the civilian branch of Rex. Operating from offices in Brussels and the city of Charleroi, he oversaw the movement's collaboration with the Nazi administration. His organization spread propaganda, recruited informants, and participated in the persecution of Jews and resistance members. Rex militants, under his supervision, joined German police raids, arrested dissidents, and enforced occupation laws. Kolar's Brigade B, a paramilitary unit within Rex, became notorious for its violence and cooperation with German intelligence. By 1944, as Allied troops advanced through France, the resistance intensified its operations inside Belgium. German authorities and collaborators responded with escalating brutality. Sabotage, assassinations, and ambushes were met with immediate reprisals. In this atmosphere of fear and vengeance, one of the darkest episodes of the occupation took place, the Courcelles Massacre. On the 17th of August, 1944, members of the resistance ambushed and killed Oswald Englebert, the Rexist mayor of Charleroi, along with his wife and son. The murder enraged the Rexist leadership. Within hours, Kolar and Victor Matthys, the acting national leader of Rex, ordered revenge. Rexist militiamen rounded up dozens of civilians in the nearby town of Courcelles, including teachers, shopkeepers, local officials, and even a priest, accusing them of supporting the resistance. Several people were shot that same evening, and during the night, more civilians were taken from their homes and detained. At dawn on the 18th of August, the remaining prisoners were lined up against a wall and executed by firing squad. In total, 27 people were killed. Witnesses later testified that Kolar was present and took command of the operation. The massacre became one of the most infamous atrocities of the occupation, a final act of fanaticism committed just weeks before Belgium's liberation. When Allied forces entered the country in early September 1944, Rex collapsed. Degrelle fled to Germany. Kolar and Matthys followed soon after. After the liberation, Louie Kolar and Victor Matthys moved through Germany towards Switzerland. Denied entry at the Swiss border, they fled to the Austrian Alps. Matthys was captured soon after, but Kolar managed to escape. He was eventually found in February 1946 in the Austrian city of Innsbruck by Belgian intelligence agents. With him were 20 Belgian SS men and his wife, Huguette. By that time, Kolar had already been sentenced to death in absentia. He was wanted as the head of Brigade B and as one of the principal organizers of the Courcelles Massacre. Kolar was also accused of orchestrating several assassinations during the occupation, including those of Alexandre Galopin, a powerful industrial leader, François Beauvais, former Minister of Justice, Julie Ernaud, a prominent politician and university director, and Louis Brafort, president of the Brussels Bar Association. Kolar was returned to Belgium under heavy guard and awaited trial before the Charleroi War Council. Testimonies from former Rexists revealed the extent of his crimes. One of them, Jean Navart, told the court that Kolar had ordered him to gather information on Belgian Freemasonry to identify targets for assassination. The investigation had led directly to the killing of Julie Ernaud, the university director and prominent politician. When confronted, Kolar coolly replied that he had collected such information only for documentation purposes, but later admitted he had taken responsibility for certain reprisals, such as the Courcelles Massacre of the 18th of August. He tried to minimize his authority, claiming he had merely advised the political department, which was officially led by notary Léon Degrelle. Yet numerous witnesses testified that Kolar had exercised real command. On the 1st of March 1946, he was sentenced to death for his role in the assassination of Julie Ernaud. A second and much larger trial followed. On the 21st of May 1946, in the Salle Concordia in Charleroi, Belgium opened the biggest war crimes trial in its history. 97 defendants were charged with taking part in the Courcelles Massacre. Leading the accused were Victor Matthys and Louie Kolar. Kolar appeared thin and tense, wearing a long coat and steel spectacles. His prisoner number 55 was pinned to his chest. He adopted an evasive attitude, often rubbing his forehead and claiming to suffer from amnesia. When asked about the events of the 17th of August 1944, he muttered, "It is absolutely impossible for me to remember anything." When prosecutors accused him of drunkenness before the killings, he laughed and said, "I do not remember. I have only chaotic fragments of memory." When confronted with witnesses who saw him carrying petrol and setting houses on fire, he mocked them, replying, "I do not remember. But I recall there were at least 15 people with me. And I did everything myself, did I? What were the others doing then?" His lawyer argued that Kolar had only been a secretary, following Matthys's orders, and pleaded for mercy. But after 2 months of hearings and testimony from 147 witnesses, the verdict was clear. On the 3rd of August 1946 at 10 a.m., the Charleroi War Council sentenced both Matthys and Kolar to death by firing squad. While awaiting execution, Kolar attempted suicide but survived. His mental state deteriorated, alternating between arrogance and despair. He spent his final months isolated in a small cell. At dawn, on the 10th of November 1947, the sentence was carried out in the courtyard of a military barracks in Charleroi. 27 Rexist collaborators were scheduled for execution that morning. The 32-year-old Louie Kolar was placed in the first group, set for 7:30 a.m. Though he begged for mercy, nothing could save him. After smoking his last cigarette, he appeared pale and exhausted. Guards had to carry him to the post. Because of his former military status, the ceremony required that he be stripped of rank. The insignia were torn from his coat, and the order was read aloud. A priest stood beside him, offering final absolution. Kolar wept quietly, praying as the priest made the sign of the cross. A red cloth was pinned to his chest to mark the target. The officer in command raised a sword. At exactly 7:36 a.m., the rifles fired. Kolar slumped forward, but did not die immediately. His body trembled, and he was screaming in pain. The priest stepped closer and gave him final absolution. Then, a gendarmerie officer drew his pistol and fired a single bullet into Kolar's head, the coup de grâce. Before we end today's story, take a look at worldhistory.tv, your special destination for true history lovers. Discover exclusive documentaries and incredible stories you won't find anywhere else. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more.